Welcome once again to a Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Yamashin, and this time we are looking at the Yamashin Awagami or Blue number 2 Santoku 165mm knife. So this line of knives has a three-layer construction. The center hard cutting edge steel that runs down the center all the way to the edge is the Awagami or Blue Paper number 2 reactive high carbon steel. Heat treats around 61, 62 Rockwell on that core steel. And then on either side of that hard core steel, you've got a soft reactive iron cladding. And that iron cladding has a couple things going on. It has a protective, what's known as a blacksmith or kudauchi or KU finish on it. You can definitely see that before you hit the grind where the steel's ground down towards the edge. And then it has a food-safe lacquer coating all across the blade all the way around. That coating will wear away naturally as you use the blade, but it is all reactive. There's no stainless or semi-stainless or anything on it. The weight and dimensions will vary a little bit from knife to knife because of the way they're made. This particular one is 146 grams or 5.1 ounces, so it's nice and light. The edge length, I cut about 166 on this, or about 6.5 inches from the tip all the way to the back of the heel. The overall length, about 310 millimeters, or a little over 12 inches. And then these vary from knife to knife. We've had them kind of all over the place, but this particular one is about 3.8 millimeters back at the handle, and you can see it thins out pretty quickly. I got about 2 millimeters thick on this one halfway down, and then you can see we don't lose a lot of thickness. There's not a lot of taper to it, but we do have a fairly decent height grind on it. Then you can see it thins out. Let's close in. It thins out pretty nicely at that tip. And I used this one and I used the Bunka, and they both performed quite well. So I was happy with the performance. They are definitely no slouches. Blade height on this is 48.3 millimeters, so this has a little more height than the Bunka. And it feels like a little bit bigger knife in your hand. Here is the blade height. There's a good spot for your finger here and a pinch grip, little room on the neck there between the handle and the back of the blade, the choil. So fits really nice for a pinch grip. Balance point is going to be with this handle just about there, which is a little in front of that choil, so just behind a pinch grip. So fairly neutral, just a touch handle heavy, but very flickable, light, nimble type knife. Handles on these are octagonal, ambidextrous, what they call red sandalwood with a multicolored pack-a-wood ferrule. The pack-a-wood is a stabilized wood product. You can see the layers there, so it's kind of a red and green combo. Very interesting aesthetic on these. These are cool looking handles in person. Circumference on this one was just about 73 millimeters, a little under 3 inches where the two woods meet. And these, I've got 6 different knives in this set, or this batch here from this line, and they've all had well installed handles with tight glue ups where the tang goes in, so nicely done there. They've all been nice and straight, the blades, and the grinds look pretty good on them. So I've been impressed with the consistency of this knife line, and again, the performance is quite good on them. Let's see, they're fairly stiff as well, so they've got a lot of good kind of a confident feel on the board. Out of the box edge, I'm just going to give them pretty much, they were all, I'd say like a 5 out of 10 or average. I sharpened this one and I sharpened the Bunka, and the steel sharpened up really well. Awagami number 2 sharpens up very nicely, quite easy to sharpen, yet it gives you just a little extra edge retention with some additional alloying elements over the Shidogami or white paper steels. So it's a really excellent steel as long as you're okay with reactivity. The fit and finish on these is really nicely done. It's got enough rustic character that you've got some blacksmith, maker's mark on these, and they're all just slightly unique. The left side, the right side of the blade as you'd be using it has embossed, stamped in kanji and symbol, and you can see the finish is pretty smooth. It's made more smooth by the lacquer on it, but even when that wears away, you're still going to have a fairly smooth finish on it, but you've got just enough kind of rustic character to these to show you the handmade qualities to it. And you've got kind of a sandblasted Kasumi finish, and then there's your core steel peeking out there from the cladding. The spine, they clean off just enough of the edge to make it comfortable. They've done a fair amount of file work here on the corners of the choil into the neck. They haven't really refined it much or finished it off at a high level, but you could if you wanted to, but pretty comfortable right out of the box. Excuse me. That time of year. But I sound a lot better than I did on the last round, which you can probably attest to if you're checking out some of those videos. If you look at the cutting profile, this is a nice edge profile to it. It's they are quite low on where the tips come in on these, even for a Santoku. So this is not going to be a rocker. I'm getting right in there, and that tip wants to start digging in. You could tweak that on a sharpening session and maybe upsweep the last couple of millimeters just a little bit, and maybe give yourself a little more wiggle room. But pretty low height on the rocking scale, so small stuff, scallions, that kind of stuff. Awesome for tip draws though. This would be great, and it really was nice for tip draws through things like peppers and such. A little bit of a flat towards the heel, very low, gentle belly, so great chopper, push-pull cutter, that kind of stuff. And as I said, tip draws are great with this knife. So these are nice. They're just well made. Like I said, I've seen 6 knives in this batch, and they've been consistently straight. Looks like pretty decent grinds on them, so pretty impressed with this line. So this is the Yamashin Awagami or Blue number 2 Santoku 165mm knife.